Welcome to Rugby Uncovered. I'm Paul Rodriguez, and together with Tom Nash, we're speaking to Gerard Mullen from Harlequins Women's Rugby. Welcome to the show, Gerard.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. So we're really excited to have you on the show. You've taken over from Gary Street and Karen Finlay, who were co-head coaches at Quinns. Are you looking to continue with their plan, or were you looking to make big changes when you came in?
I think it's look. I think for me, I came in and started the job in August, and probably we had, I think, 5 weeks before the start of the season. So for me, it was very much, I spent a lot of time kind of before starting the role speaking to players, speaking to staff, watching games, and probably just tried to, you can't change too much. I think you could probably become undone if you tried to do that. So I just tried to make a couple little changes where I thought we could improve on, and probably gradually, as the season's gone on, tried to maybe put my own style on things. And maybe longer term we'll see more changes, but I think for the short term, I'd probably try to make the squad better at some simple things rather than wholesale changes.
So being a top tier team, do you focus on your own game, or are you looking at the other teams who are coming up the ranks and obviously all snapping at your heels because they want to be, you're the team to beat, you're the Coca-Cola of the Premier 15s?
Do you know what? I think it's another great question, and I think I think a lot of coaches you never really probably get that balance, fully correct. You can go through periods where you're just going to have a pure focus on yourselves. You can get carried away, and you can focus too much on the opposition. And I probably, I haven't worked with female players before, and I'm learning as well. And I think we're probably close now to getting the balance right, in terms of focusing on ourselves, and then in terms of how we get clarity of a plan going into Saturday. But I do think it's very important that your plan going into Saturday does not change much week to week. I'm a big believer of you train a way of playing and a philosophy of playing, and then you want to go and impose that on the teams you are coming up against. And I really am trying to create a Quinns identity of how we go about playing the game.
So you're looking at consistency of the game, consistency of coaching, consistency of playing. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I would say my main goal is to this is how we want to go about playing the game. We train it, and then how we bring it to life on a Saturday with a couple maybe emphasis on things the opposition might do that might present specific opportunities to us, but we won't change what we do too much. We'll just have a focus on one or two things.
Oh, that's really interesting. So you have your own game and you have your own plan, and you know how the other team might play. So you may change something, but you don't want to be derailed from your own strategy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the way we're going with it. I think it's working quite well at the moment, and we've made some small changes around how we get a bit more clarity going into Saturday. But we'll keep going with it and see what hopefully works for us.
Brilliant. The co-head setup at Quinns prior to your arrival, is that something that you're looking to? Are you looking to hire another coach to replicate that, or was that just unique to Gary Street and Karen Finlay's position, or their own situation?
Yeah, again, look, I mean, I'm not too sure about the past. I think Karen is still involved as forwards coach.
Yeah.
And look, I think we'll probably do a review of the program, and kind of, again, I'm only in the job 6-7 months, and we just want to keep taking things forward and probably how can we create the best learning environment possible for the players to allow them to be the best they can be. And that's what you want, and that's what we want Harlequins to be. We want people to want to come here because they know we're going to make them a better person and a better player. And then ultimately we'll grow the game from a quality play perspective, from fans, and keep taking the women's game forward.
Brilliant. I mean, it's been such a disruptive period for everybody, and it must be extremely hard to come into a new team as well, given everything that's been going on and all the difficulties with social distancing, and on top of having a new team to develop, plus the pressure of it being such a top tier team.
Yeah, no, for sure. I won't lie. It has been very tough at times, and I think in particular maybe the last few months have been really tough. With everything going on, like you said, and being new and trying to build culture and new ways of playing with the team, whereby it's tough to get that interaction, and you can't really, we're probably even missing that ability to have a beer after the game, and there's just small stuff like that which really helps. It's obviously very hard for me coming in new, not being able to do that. But I must say that I think we've all adapted well, and everyone is, we're not moaning about it. We're lucky to still be in a situation where we're playing rugby, so we just got to get on with it and do our best. But look, it hasn't been easy, but it is what it is, I suppose.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Gerard, thank you so much. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm going to hand over to Tom. So thank you.
Hi, Gerard.
Hiya, Tom. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. I hope you're well too. My first question, because I wasn't clear on the background to your coming to Quinns last year. Did you coach men and women at Loughborough?
No, my previous role at Loughborough, I was the head coach of the men's program at Loughborough. So I hadn't coached in the female game prior to this role. I held out with the Loughborough Lightning team on a handful of occasions, but nothing in a major.
And what was it that made you want to coach women rather than men?
You know what? I mean, I think if you asked me a couple of years ago, I probably wouldn't have come into my head. But I think it's definitely making me a more rounded coach. I'm having to develop different aspects of my coaching. I'm getting challenged in different ways. So yeah, I think I am becoming a better coach from the experiences. I think also coming to a club like Harlequins where there's great crossover with the men's program and all that. So the ability to learn, develop, and get new ideas. And I probably felt maybe at Loughborough I had in my latter stages maybe stopped progressing as much as I'd hoped. So I think coming into a fresh environment, I feel like I really am learning and developing again.
Okay, now the awkward question. When you joined, you talked about becoming more rounded, and that being a catalyst for you joining Harlequins. What is the difference in a men's training session and a women's training session, as far as you're concerned?
Again, it's a tough question. It's a good question. I think I think the females, which is a good thing, that they like more specifics and more clarity and more understanding around things. So that challenges me to ensure for every session, every analysis, every game, everything is that I'm doing my best to simplify and keep everything as specific as possible. And that maybe highlights me, and maybe that is a work on for me that, and that's what I'm trying to do now. Can I make things as short and simple as possible? How can I make the message as clear as possible? And that will, and I think I don't know where my future in coaching is going to go. Will I stay in the women's game? Will I go back to the men's game eventually? Who knows? But I think regardless of where I go, I will bring that with me in terms of how I can be as specific and clear as possible in my messaging.
We've been watching the Premier 15s for a couple of years now, and every game we have seen, we've has touched on what you've just said, that there is more. It's not necessarily intelligence, but there is more thought that goes into these women's individual and team games as you watch them. They maybe it's because it's not 100% familiar, but they are thinking about what they're doing, and that comes across in every game we've seen.
Yeah, I think the quality of the league is really coming on. The quality of the player is massively coming on. I think the quality of coaching in the league is really developing, which is, I think that's a massive kind of catalyst for, I think, what you're saying there. And I think the more and more top coaches you can get in the women's game, then that'll be the better for the product and the development of the players. And I think as well, like the quality of the pathways and the coaching the girls are getting at a younger age now is also starting to improve. So I do think it's just going to keep going from strength to strength in terms of, you know, the professionalism, the physicality, the quality of the athletes, the level of coaching, the understanding, the style of plays, all that stuff will just breed good news for the game.
Yeah, the quality, the standard in the top half of the division is almost unrecognisable compared with when we started looking at it. It's so impressive the way it's evolved, the way it's developed. I've never seen anything like it, to be honest, in women's sport. And I've watched football and cricket and netball and hockey, and this has just happened more quickly than any of those sports, in my opinion.
I agree. It's been rapid. It's been rapid for sure, and hopefully it can. You know, it might plateau a bit eventually, but hopefully it can keep at a reasonable speed. You know.
And you returned to winning ways at the weekend at Sale, which must have delighted you. Yeah,
look, we had obviously when the league restarted, we started off with 2 losses against Exeter and then Loughborough, and then obviously we got over the line against Wasps, and then obviously had a good performance against Sale on the weekend. So I think like we probably got caught cold a bit against Exeter. A big break, you know, they probably were a bit more. They had some more games kind of to us in the run up to that fixture. You know, we've had a lot of injuries, but as of everyone, that's not an excuse. But as a positive, some people have got some game time and really stepped up of late. And for me, the message is we're just building to those playoffs now and those knockouts at the end of the season. So hopefully we can making sure we get a top 2 spot to make sure we get that home semi-final. But we want to make sure we're peaking for those games, and that's when it's most important, you know.
But with Susie Appleby at Exeter and with Gloucester Hartbury and Bristol, you've got 3 and Wasp to some extent. You've got Worcester Warriors. You've got these teams who are pushing for the top 4 now, which really wasn't the case last year. You've got 6 or 7 teams who could be in the top 4. It's really exciting.
Yeah, again, and that's what the league needs. You know, it's never good for any competition that, you know, if there's just a complete disparity in the competition. So viewers want to see tight, contested games, and that's what makes it exciting when people putting everything on the line to get a win. And I think, like I previously mentioned, I think the reason for that is because the quality of coaching and infrastructure around these teams is really improving. And yes, fine, some teams can have better players and better individuals, but, you know, I think people are starting to learn that if teams are well coached, have a good plan together and a good process and good culture, but then anything is possible. And they're the biggest changes, I think, in the women's game.
Sure. Gerard, thanks so much. It's been a pleasure. We wish you all the best this coming weekend, and fingers crossed for the rest of the season.
No worries, guys. Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Thank you so much. Absolutely brilliant.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.